55 currently in Salem, dry there, 53 and dry in Redmond, and 56 at this hour in the Dalles.
On World News tonight, the Postmaster General says he cannot guarantee the mail is safe from anthrax. The post office scrambles to make it safer. When the mail is delayed, the effect on business. For the first time, we see inside one of the Taliban's caves, very hard to get at, even with a smart bomb. The world's 5th largest economy is in trouble, and that is California. And the cutting-edge technology that gets rid of anthrax, will the government approve it for wider use?
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening, everyone. We begin this evening with the widespread uncertainty about the mail. It was the Postmaster General himself who said this morning that he could not guarantee the safety of the mail. Now, there may only be the tiniest risk of anthrax for the vast majority of Americans, but in this environment, any fear about the mail and any disruption in the postal system simply has a magnified effect. We begin tonight with ABC's Brian Ross. Brian?
Peter, federal agents continue the search with no apparent progress for whoever's responsible for these anthrax attacks that have hit hard the U.S. mails. The day began with more than 10,000 postal workers on antibiotics and the Postmaster General on national television with some disturbing words.
There are no guarantees that mail is safe. That's why we're asking people to handle mail very carefully.
The problem, cross-contamination, as the anthrax letters were shuffled, sorted, and canceled by high-speed machines in New Jersey, New York, Washington, and Florida.
What happens in these is that they go 30,000 pieces an hour through this high-speed machine, through these belts that squeeze it to shoot it to the next level.
Anthrax not only flew into the air at postal facilities, perhaps aided by ventilation fans, but the anthrax may have tainted other mail moving through the same machines.
People should do things that are safe, and when they handle mail, they should wash their hands.
For the first time, concern grew in the Midwest. Officials in Topeka, Kansas say they are testing all 175 employees at a postal repair facility that has received dozens of pieces of equipment from New Jersey, Florida, and Washington since mid-September. Yesterday, 10 employees at the Topeka operation reported flu-like symptoms. Meantime, in West Trenton, New Jersey, investigators now believe the one infected letter carrier here may have got the disease not from picking up a tainted letter, but from delivering one that had been cross-contaminated. Her replacement said today she wasn't concerned about a health threat, but many residents along the route said they were.
So I think what we're going to start doing is using a letter opener with the rubber gloves and leave the envelopes outside.
By day's end, there were conflicting statements coming out of the Postal Service itself within an hour of each other about the safety of the mail.
I can tell you this, though, that today there are letter carriers throughout the nation, including here in Washington, D.C., delivering safe mail safely.
Neither I or any other member of the Postal Service management is going to stand here and say, point blank, the mail is safe.
Another round of warnings went out late today to hundreds and hundreds of people who pick up their mail and their own mail in bulk at the affected post offices in New Jersey and Washington. They, too, Peter, have been told to start taking antibiotics.
Many thanks, Brian Ross. Nearly a tenth of the American economy depends on the U.S. mail, so when the Postmaster General says that the mail may not be entirely safe, there's bound to be an impact beyond the Postal Service. Here's ABC's Bob Jamieson.
9/10 of what every mail carrier delivers has something to do with business. Social Security payments. 9 million checks are sent by mail each month. Bill payments. Most of Citibank's 44 million credit card accounts are paid by mail each month. Magazines. 90% are sent by mail. $91 billion worth each year. A disruption in mail service could be catastrophic.
That would generate significant economic loss. It would be the basis for a recession of the kind probably we've never seen.
Direct mail, credit card solicitations, advertising, even coupons, is an industry that generated a staggering $528 billion in business last year. And it provides 4 million jobs in an already weak economy. Precision Marketing in Brooklyn, New York sends advertising and solicitations for banks and stores, even politicians, through the mail. For this business, there is no alternative to the post office.
Our clients stand to lose basically everything if the post office is not running efficiently, and people are afraid to open up their direct mail.
That double problem is an even bigger worry for the catalog business, which relies on the coming holiday season for a third of its annual sales. For a small Washington consulting firm, the problem is uncertainty. There's been no mail delivery for 3 days. Payments of $40,000 haven't arrived.
There's been no notification to me as a business owner as to when the mail will resume. So we're clueless at this point.
Many businesses, like manufacturers needing parts, have switched to more expensive private air and ground deliveries, something most of the companies relying on the U.S. mail cannot afford to do. Bob Jameson, ABC News, New York.
Now to the campaign in Afghanistan. Secretary of State Powell told Congress today he hopes the military campaign in Afghanistan will end before the start of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, which begins in 3 weeks, but he made no promises. Pentagon officials said today that the Taliban might be planning to poison the food aid being distributed in Afghanistan and blame it on the United States. The spokesman would not say how he knew that. The Taliban are tough warriors, the Pentagon acknowledged today. And as ABC's David Wright reports tonight, they know their country very well.
In the mountains above Jalalabad, a cave serves as a small base and bomb shelter for the Taliban. In these pictures, filmed within the last week by a freelance photographer, Taliban soldiers come and go, every one of them heavily armed, every one of them watching and waiting. There are tens of thousands of caves and underground tunnels in Afghanistan. Some were carved out centuries ago to preserve water during dry seasons. The Taliban use these caves, so does Osama bin Laden. Bombs and artillery don't affect caves, says this Northern Alliance commander. They're safe places to hide. He points out several spots his troops can run to when the fighting gets fierce. Mere shadows on the rock face, big enough inside to shelter an army. Afghanistan's mountains provide countless natural hideouts, and these caves have been used for centuries to foil invading armies. Legend has it that this cave goes on for 3 provinces. When the Soviet army invaded Afghanistan, the caves proved perfect bases for ambushes by Mujahideen guerrillas. The Soviet soldiers often couldn't tell where the shots were coming from. It's a problem the Pentagon is well aware of. They're using what they call cave-busting bombs in certain parts of Afghanistan.
I think it would be most unlikely that an operation against a cave would be purely an air operation. I think there's almost certainly there would need to be ground elements for it to be effective.
That's assuming they find the right caves to go after. We don't know where all their caves are, and they don't know ours, says the Northern Alliance commander. Perhaps that's why the Taliban soldiers in these pictures don't seem nervous at all. David Wright, ABC News, Salang Valley, Afghanistan.
Now, we know that anything that happens in the Middle East has an effect in the Muslim world as a whole. In the Middle East today, the Israeli army went into another Palestinian village near Ramallah in defiance of repeated demands by the United States for the Israelis to withdraw. And the United Nations Secretary General said today that he was concerned at what he called a dangerous escalation in the violence. ABC's Gillian Finley reports tonight from the West Bank.
This was Israel's answer to the U.S. today. More tanks on Palestinian streets, more battles with Palestinian gunmen. Instead of withdrawing its troops, Israel sent its tanks into yet another Palestinian village in what it says is a hunt for those who assassinated Israel's tourism minister.
Come on, go.
Today, Beit Rima was completely sealed off. Israel's army arrested suspects and later released videotape of soldiers treating the wounded. The 5 Palestinians who were killed, the army says, had put up heavy resistance. Palestinians inside the village that we have spoken with on the phone paint a very different picture. The Israeli army came in firing, they say. There was no resistance from the villagers, and all day long, Israeli soldiers have prevented ambulances from getting inside to the many Palestinians they say are injured. This ambulance crew told us they had reports of 20 people needing help. In the 6 days since Israel started its incursions, 42 Palestinians have been killed, many of them civilians. Israel insists it's only doing what Yasser Arafat has failed to do, fight terrorism. The case the Israelis are trying to make, this is no different than what the U.S. is doing in Afghanistan. Gillian Finley, ABC News, Beit Rima.
Gillian Finley, indeed, ABC News in the Middle East. Now let's return to trying to understand anthrax. It goes without saying that these cases of anthrax from Florida to New York and New Jersey, Washington, and now the possibility of an exposure in Kansas are a huge challenge to the Centers for Disease Control. The CDC has been both praised for its scientific work and criticized. But in many ways, murder by anthrax is as much of a shock to the CDC as it is to the rest of us. Today, we sat down with the CDC director, Dr. Jeffrey Copeland. If you could do Washington over again, would you do it differently?
We had not had the experience of people being exposed to a way and getting disease from unopened envelopes before. And that's what seems to have happened to this exposure of postal workers.
Did you genuinely believe when you had dealt with the Florida case that anthrax could not escape from an envelope unless it was physically opened by someone?
It was hard to imagine then that with what experience we had had with anthrax, that you would get enough powder out of a sealed envelope to infect someone with inhalational anthrax.
So when the Daschle letter is open, first of all, what did you find?
First of all, the letter itself doesn't have a note on it that says this is inhalation anthrax. The only way you know it's inhalation anthrax, really, is if someone gets inhalation anthrax.
Would it have made better sense to have closed down the Capitol Hill Post Office, the Brentwood Post Office, and the Trenton Post Office in New Jersey, through which these letters came immediately?
It makes sense now in retrospect. It did not make sense at the time. We had not had an inhalation case in a postal worker dealing with a sealed envelope. Do you put every postal worker in the country on antibiotics now because a letter may well have come through there, either mailed through or not?
You tell me.
And when do they stop?
You tell me.
I'd say no. How long do you take it? Do you take it long after you've gotten diarrhea and are sick every day? Do you take it after you've had a skin reaction? Is it 60 days because you've been exposed, even though we've had no evidence of an exposure to you?
As much as you've learned in the last several weeks, do you think a lot about anthrax you do not know?
I think we would be both arrogant and foolish to say we know enough now, we know a lot, this is easy. It isn't.
Not easy for government officials to go on television in front of the whole country all the time. A little later in the broadcast, we'll take a closer look at how important it is to project the right message and the right image. We'll also take a look when we come back at the impact of all this on the U.S. economy 3,000 miles away from ground zero. At the end of the broadcast, we'll see the foam that suffocates the spores, killing anthrax with technology on the cutting edge.
Hey, guys.
Driveway's almost done.
Great.
But I'm as hungry as a polar bear.
Clam chowder?
Wow, dense soup. That was fine when we wore snowsuits. We're adults now. There's a better tasting soup. Progresso New England clam chowder has more chunks of clams and potatoes, and it's creamier. See the difference?
This is better.
It's still snowing out.
I'm done.
Let's go. Let's make snow angels.
Yeah.
Now with 50% more clams in every bowl.
Scott and I have tried to raise Derek right. We know his friends are a big influence, but we also know we can shape his values and thoughts.
Just by talking to him about all the important issues.
We talked about drugs.
And how to say no to them.
We even had the sex talk.
Excuse me, we?
Well, Scott did that. We tried to cover all the bases with Derek, but sometimes I feel like we've missed something.
Talk to your kids about not smoking. It may be the one thing you've missed.
For big savings on brake service, stop into Meineke. You'll get 50% off, lifetime brake pads and shoes. But you better hurry before these big savings are gone.
At Meineke, you won't pay a lot, but you'll get a lot.
Your eyes need nutrition as well as the rest of your body, so Centrum and Centrum Silver added lutein to help maintain your precious sight. Now your eyes, your toes, and everything in between are covered by Centrum and Centrum Silver. More complete from A to Zinc.
Pizza! In my family, if one wants pizza, the other wants Chinese. Even their stomachs don't agree. If one gets indigestion, the other one gets heartburn. If one gets nausea, the other one gets... well, so I get Pepto-Bismol. As it coats, it relieves heartburn, indigestion, upset stomachs, nausea, and diarrhea. It'd take a box full of other medicines to do what Pepto-Bismol does. Agree?
Agree. Pepto-Bismol, first aid for heartburn, diarrhea, nausea, indigestion, and upset stomachs.
Now, the economy overall, the Federal Reserve said today that a new survey finds widespread damage to the economy after September the 11th. The already faltering economy has since been stung by weak retail sales, canceled manufacturing orders, and of course, as we referred many times, to the layoffs. This is a problem that stretches all across the country and is having a gigantic impact in the enormously important economy of California. Here's ABC's Judy Muller.
The California economy often serves as a bellwether for the rest of the country, and the California economy is in trouble.
We have never seen anything so broad, so deep, and so abrupt.
Thousands of restaurant and hotel workers have been laid off since September 11th, and care packages from their union can only go so far.
I can make no money, and I can feed my family, pay the rent.
What started as a blow to the airline industry has grown into a full-blown recession. San Francisco Airport projects a $100 million shortfall this year.
It even gets down to toilet paper and paper towels. We're not stockpiling that stuff. We're not buying things like that 6 months in advance.
And they're not buying much produce either. Sales are down 25%.
Businesses that supply the airlines, of course, and your hotels.
Fewer goods means fewer trucks delivering the goods. International shipping has suffered, as well as international tourism. And it was already a slow season.
Add on top of that the events of September the 11th, it just drove a stake through the heart of the industry.
Even before September 11th, the California economy was in trouble. The dot-com and high-tech industry had taken a dive, and the state had spent $6.5 billion on a bailout from the energy crisis.
We have a terrific hangover from that bailout. Very large hangover. It's going to be with us for 10 to 20 years.
But economists predict this recession may end in 9 months. Can businesses hold out? Bertree Incorporated, which makes parts for the aerospace industry, has no new orders.
The rope is getting thin, but it has not severed. And I don't think it will. We will survive.
After all, he says, the defense industry is bound to need parts. Judy Muller, ABC News, San Francisco.
By the way, we have taken note of winter coming in Afghanistan. We also know today that it's arrived in some parts of this country, a colossal snowstorm across North Dakota and Minnesota. Some schools were closed. More than 1,000 homes lost power, and people are being told to stay off the highways. When we come back, we will take a closer look at communicating during a crisis.
World News Tonight with Peter Jennings and a closer look. Brought to you by Aflac. Without it, no insurance is complete.
Want to try that Triple Lutz?
What the heck? I got supplemental insurance.
What's that?
A Lutz?
No, that something insurance.
Even the best insurance doesn't give you cash for things like lost pay and other expenses. This does.
What does?
Aflac. Ask about it at work.
Hello, Mrs. Lindsay. William.
Hello, Stephen.
You're not by any chance computer shopping, are you?
Mm-hmm. If I can get some help.
Well, right now, you can get a complete Dell system with an Intel Pentium 4 processor, which is so nice, for only $899.
Really?
She's intrigued. Excellent. Because right now, it comes with your choice of a free CD burner or DVD upgrade. And as far as service and support, Dell's won more awards than any other PC company in the last 5 years. Just call or go online. Tell them what you want, and right to your front door comes America's favorite PC.
Thanks, Steven.
Now you can get a Dell desktop with an Intel Pentium 4 processor, which delivers performance where you need it most. And 6 months of DellNet by MSN Internet access for just $8.99. Call or go online today and get a free CD burner or DVD upgrade. There's great deals on notebooks, too.
Dude, you're getting a Dell.
Easy to buy, easy to own, easy as Dell.
Don't get that, Frank.
Hello? Baxter!
Crunchy Meow Mix seafood middles. Mackerel and tuna flavors make it taste so good. Cats ask for it. By name.
Wonder what's going on in your local public schools? Take a look.
Teachers, parents, and support professionals are working together to make learning come alive. Teachers inspire our kids to reach new heights, whether it's helping students master the alphabet or explore new worlds on the computer. Our teachers are leading the way. Today, more than ever, we need public schools that work for every child and to teach the values that make America strong.
When that pastrami on rye catches up with me, heartburn big time. My passenger says, here, take a Zantac 75. I say, what are you, a doctor? And he says, yeah.
Zantac 75, the heartburn relief doctors trust.
There are going to be many times on this broadcast, as you can imagine, when we take a closer look at Homeland Security. Tonight, we're going to look at one integral part of it, which is the country's peace of mind. At a time like this, it is hard, we recognize, to keep the country on an even keel and still make it clear what the country is facing. What the government tells us, or doesn't tell us, can have a huge impact on the national psyche. Here's ABC's Robert Krulwich.
When the Postmaster General went on Good Morning America today to tell people some admittedly upsetting news,
well, Charlie,
he didn't really help his audience, says this expert in crisis communications.
I think he left them in a lot of ways more frightened because one of the problems I was seeing was his tone was not a reassuring tone.
And this at a time when there are leaders who can tell us very frightening things that somehow leave us reassured, even comfortable.
I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you.
What is it they have that the Postmaster General didn't have today? Well, say the experts, there are ways to give people bad news. The first rule, talk from the heart. Mayor Giuliani of New York knows how to do that.
I know people will be concerned about this, but
talks in a genuine way, as if he were your father or your friend or your brother or whatever, and it's like, this is my friend talking to me.
By contrast, the Postmaster General seemed uncomfortable and, says Ryan, he had real trouble with the second rule. Tell the truth and tell it simply, and avoid frightening phrases.
We're telling people that there is a threat, that right now the threat is in the mail.
The threat's in the mail, so that's what you shouldn't say?
That's a very frightening term. I think there's better ways to say it. That kind of just hangs in the air from what I can hear.
Better is to give people solid information, tell them what you know, and most important, give people something to do so they can say,
okay, I understand that. That's very simple. I can do that, and make them part of the process of fighting back.
The postmaster did suggest washing hands after handling mail, but he didn't say why hand washing would help, or who says so, or how often to do it. So it didn't feel, says Ryan, like advice you could trust, and trust is key.
Doing everything we can to find out who mailed these letters.
In this war, our best warriors are the ones who can tell us scary things, but because we trust them, they somehow calm us down. Robert Krulwich, ABC News.
But it is not always easy. When we come back this evening, the killer foam, a new weapon against anthrax.
$29, $30, $30.
Now at Red Lobster, you can get 30 mouth-watering shrimp for just $9.99. Red Lobster, go overboard.
If your pencils look like mine did, there's something you can do. Ask your doctor if the Nicotrol inhaler is right for you. Or for more information, call 1-800-INHALER. Call today.
Pledge Grab It Wet Floor Wipes.
It's very, very moist, very wet.
So this has the cleanser and everything on it.
And you could see where it's cleaning.
Actually, there's just juice right here. That's what I got out.
Look at that. I'm impressed. Here's his foot mark right here. Do you see it? Gone.
Grab it.
the Pledge Grab It wet floor wipes.
My house is going to be so clean. That's a lot of dirt.
It works. No mop to rinse. I love these wet cloths.
Pledge Grab It wet floor wipes.
S.C. Johnson, a family company.
No more buckets.
Tens of thousands of people continue to purchase new Oldsmobiles, like the completely redesigned 2002 Bravada. Are they impressed with its best-in-class 270 horsepower engine? Are they impressed with its 5-year, 60,000-mile GM protection plan? Or are they simply impressed? Are you in the market? Get in an Oldsmobile, backed by GM. Right now, get interest-free financing on all new Oldsmobiles. Let's help keep America rolling.
I'm every man.
And every woman who ever suffered from frequent, persistent heartburn.
If you've treated your heartburn and changed your diet, but it comes back 2 or more days a week, then you may know about the burning pain of acid reflux disease.
But there's something about acid reflux that I didn't know.
Over time, that acid churning up can wear away the lining of your esophagus.
I didn't know.
I didn't know.
I didn't.
But today, there's a purple pill called Nexium. It's from the makers of Prilosec. Just 1 prescription Nexium a day gives many people complete resolution of heartburn symptoms.
That could mean complete heartburn relief.
And importantly, Nexium is also proven to heal erosions in the esophagus caused by acid reflux. Only a doctor can determine if you have this damage. Other serious stomach conditions may still exist. The most common side effects of Nexium and Prilosec are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. So talk to your doctor and call this number for more information and for a free trial certificate for Nexium.
Relieve the heartburn, heal the damage. It's possible with today's purple pill called Nexium.
Coming up next on K2 News, no one knew this little girl's name, but many were concerned about her. Tonight, the mystery is solved. Fears of anthrax are causing many people to call 911, find out what's being done to deal with the overload, and expert tips on how you can sell yourself in a job interview in just 60 seconds. It's all coming up next.
Facing its biggest challenge ever in this war on terrorism, the FBI. After years of mistakes, are they up to the task? Can they keep America safe? Tomorrow on World News Tonight.
Finally this evening, because we hear more every day about how far the anthrax spores have spread through the postal system, we were reassured to hear that there is technology on the cutting edge which helps deal with it. Federal officials are now using a new foam. Here's ABC's James Walker.
The foam, which was successfully tested on live anthrax this weekend, has been used to clean NBC offices and may be used to clean Capitol Hill offices exposed to the germ.
We could quickly deploy the foam, smother the agent, prevent the spread, and kill or neutralize the agent.
The foam contains commonly used household products that break down the protective coating of a biological agent. A second substance kills the spores. This Petri dish shows simulated anthrax spores that have not been treated with the foam and spores that have. In addition to destroying biological and chemical agents, the foam is also non-toxic, so it can be sprayed immediately and safely on potential victims before the agent has a chance to spread. The companies that make the foam say they can produce 200,000 gallons a week. Now they are awaiting government approval and customers. James Walker, ABC News, New York.
Just one more thing, a word about bravery and community. Today, 71 soldiers and civilian Pentagon workers were given medals for their actions at the Pentagon on 9/11. Most all were for bravery in one way or another. There were also 27 Purple Heart for being injured. Some of the military and civilians got more than one medal. Everyone at the Pentagon today was reminded that they got through this together. That's our report on World News Tonight. I hope you'll join us again tomorrow. I'm Peter Jennings. Good night.
Imagine tracking a plane that's off course, gaining speed, and heading toward...
We have an unidentified aircraft, fast-moving, inbound to the White House.
She doesn't have to.
It was almost a dream.
Tonight, a 2020 exclusive.
Connecting you